Hello, everyone. This is Marie Blue Angel, and I am back with something really fun. For those of you who have seen my channel before, I played a demo of the Winter Wedding back in January, I believe, and I really enjoyed it. At the time, there was a little less content than there is today because this is an updated demo, and you might notice that one of the things that the game devs changed is the title screen because before we only ever saw a little bit of ourselves, which I'm assuming we're here in the middle with the bloody lilies, and then Tristan on the right, who's our butler, and I think Oscar is his name, I believe, but he's the one in red and the one that we're supposedly marrying. So I am just very, 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 very excited to check this out because I think this updated demo came out about a month ago. And continuing the theme of spookiness, since it is spooky month, I wanted to do the winter wedding. Though, could I be doing things that involve actual fall? Sure, but whatever. I just saw this. If you don't already know, I kind of play based on my mood. Um, which body will I play with? I remember you. I don't remember you. I just want to see though. Wow, we look cool too. I like the bow tie. Or like they have matching little like ties. I like the outfits. I'll pick this body. I'm assuming it was Marie last time, so we're gonna do that. 10 days before 10 days left until your wedding, rather, with the red lily in the back here. Okay. I'm gonna lock in. Winter. Not exactly your favorite season. Though you've always found it soothing to watch snowflakes slowly fall and evaporate against the warmed glass of the window, you were never one of those children eager to rush outside for snowball fights or to build snowmen. Okay, that's fair. So when your nanny said your overprotective parents wouldn't allow it because of your frail health, you didn't feel particularly disappointed. Now, there's no one left to enforce such rules. And that's one of the reasons winter is so sorrowful for you. Your father was never interested in winter sports, but you know he couldn't resist your mother's persistence. That persistence ultimately cost them their lives when the ice on the frozen lake suddenly gave way beneath them while they skated. I remember that. Ugh, that sucks. By the time they were pulled from the water, it was too late for anything to be done. As you touch their gravestones, even through your gloves, you can feel the freezing cold of the marble. It's already been 5 years since you lost them. Also, side note, it came at the beginning of me loading up the game, but this is a story set in an Omegaverse, where, from what I understand, besides, well, another aspect of how people are not exactly categorized, but I guess like how they identify. Well, is it categorization? Well, there's things like alphas, betas, and omegas, and apparently our character is an omega. And from what I understand, that it's like we don't have a lot of like social capital in relation to an alpha or a beta individual. So let me just put that out there so we can kind of keep that in mind for the rest of the story. Ooh, I like this music. Anyways, I already read this. Mother, father, I miss you so much. If only there was a way to stop that accident, to turn back time. But that's impossible. Anyway, I brought you some beautiful flowers. Okay, the lilies. Okay. You carefully place the white lilies on the grave, speckled here and there with patches of snow. The harsh snowflakes sting your face, threatening to bury the flowers completely under the white blanket before long. Okay, so it's actively snowing. We're turning around. Feeling the need to leave soon, you cast one last glance at the grave. And in the blink of an eye, the white lilies are no longer white, but soaked in vivid crimson blood, seeping from the grave itself. That's trippy, to be honest. What? Your heartbeat quickens, and your breath forms a white mist that clouds your vision. Even so, the red is so intense that it overwhelms you, your head spinning, your knees buckling. Just as you're about to collapse, a strong arm catches you by the shoulder. Turning your gaze, you find Tristan standing beside you. Your butler. Hello. I remember you, Tristan. Hello. Thanks for catching our girl here. His attentive eyes shift between you and the grave as though trying to discern the source of your distress. There's no trace of alarm or confusion in his demeanor. Frantically, you glance back at the grave. And there's nothing. Just the white lilies. The lilies are as white as when you left them. No trace of the blood remains. Are you all right, my lady? Is something the matter? I'm fine, Tristan. Just a little dizzy, that's all. So, then, a fleeting hallucination. You can't exactly say it's the first time. Okay, so we're not too concerned, but kind of concerning overall. You've never fully recovered since losing your family. I mean, it has been 5 years, that's so fair. You process grief in your own way. You must have been affected by the cold. Okay, sure. Sure. If it's supposedly snowing a lot and it's really harsh, I could see that. For a moment, you can't help but feel uneasy at the way his gaze sharpens, as if he's aware of what you're thinking. Now is certainly not the time to meet with another new doctor who promises to cure you with their sedatives. Thankfully, the familiar steadiness in his voice soon puts you at ease. Okay, so we have enough money, supposedly, or I'm assuming, to seek treatment. I assume Tristan has always been our butler? I can't remember, actually, from when I played it before. Yeah, piano. Shall we head back to the carriage, my lady? Please, hold on to me tightly. I just realized maybe I was a tad bit louder with the volume. With Tristan's help, you make your way out of the eerily silent cemetery and to the carriage waiting for you. Returning to the manor. The roads may be icy. Drive carefully. The coachman nods quickly and takes his seat. Everyone seems eager to leave this place. Everyone except you. Your attention is momentarily distracted by the stark white of the gloves covering Tristan's outstretched hand as he helps you step into the carriage. White lilies were your mother's favorite. You recall how she'd always pick the most beautiful one from every bouquet and tuck it into your hair with a smile. But after that hallucination, perhaps it's best to choose a different flower for your wedding bouquet. You don't want to falter at the altar and embarrass yourself in front of everyone. My lady, if you could hurry. I think I dropped my handkerchief at the me. I think I dropped my handkerchief at the grave. Feigning a flustered expression, you press your hand against your bag. The handkerchief is right there. If we leave a message with the caretaker, it should reach the manor within a few days. Oh, but it was a gift from Oscar. You notice a momentary pause in Tristan's expression, unaccustomed as he is to hearing you mention your fiancé's name so openly. Excuse me. I'll fetch it immediately, my lady. Please, wait in the car. Carriage? No, let's go together. I probably made the same choice last time. I'd like to see my parents. Tristan's questioning gaze meets yours, but you'd rather seem sentimental than paranoid. Given the thoughtful and caring attitude your parents have always shown toward you, you are certain no one could find you unjust. You know Tristan, known for his calm demeanor and logical approach, isn't exactly pleased with your request. I forget that I think for these I'm supposed to say it. So I want to make sure we go see my parents again. Thanks. But refusing you isn't an option. As my lady wishes, if you'll excuse me. Without waiting for a reply, he adjusts the loosened collar of your coat, coat with a practical air. Unlike you or the coachman, he seems completely unaffected by the cold. Jealous. In moments like these, you can't help but wonder if he truly is. Once he's finished, Tristan turns to the coachman. Keep the horses ready. The coachman's silent nod betrays his discontent. But whatever the case, you'd certain he'd rather be anywhere than in Tristan's place. The sudden violent gust of wind forces you to cling tightly to Tristan, relying on his strength and warmth as much as you can. I mean, honestly, block out the wind. he has a large frame, might as well. When you reach your family's grave, nothing appears out of the ordinary at first glance. We must move quickly, my lady. The weather is worsening. You know he's more concerned about you than himself. You can't help but silently berate yourself for your impulsive decision. Perhaps it really is time. Perhaps it really is time to meet with a new doctor. The handkerchief isn't here. Let's go back. Wait a moment, Tristan. What's this flower? Amidst the bouquet of white lilies you left on the grave, so easily scattered by the wind, one vibrant red flower stands out. As he pulls it free, Tristan's eyes narrow slightly. It appears to be a crimson lily, my lady. The hallucination you saw earlier flashes vividly in your mind, sending a shiver down your spine. But what's it doing here? It was likely mixed in by mistake when the bouquet was prepared, my lady. You reach for the crimson lily in his hand and examine it closely. It's identical to the white lilies you selected for your family, except for its color. Oh no, I remember the bouquet perfectly. This isn't possible. In that case, perhaps it was blown here by the wind from another grave. Look, all the flowers on that grave over there are red. Curiosity and determination compel you to rise on your tiptoes, trying to see the grave Tristan is pointing out. Indeed, on the snowy hill, there are red specks. But you're not as convinced as Tristan that they're the same flower, or even flowers at all. At that moment, your careless stance catches up with you, and your foot slips. Ooh. Oh. In a desperate attempt to keep from falling, you grab onto Tristan's coat. For the first time, you manage to catch him off guard. His typical rigid posture wavers, and he leans toward you. You find his face suddenly, startlingly close to yours. Though his lips remain perfectly composed, his golden eyes flicker with an unusual, unreadable glimmer. If it's important to you, my lady, I can inspect every grave here one by one. Your entire body heats with mortification, enough to make you momentarily forget the cold. With his help, you manage to regain your balance once more. Might as well, we're here. Not every grave. You know this is sheer foolishness, yet you press on. I want to check that grave. Tristan's hesitant gaze shifts between you and the hill. My lady, if you'll allow it, I'll check that grave myself. There's no need for you to trouble yourself in this weather. I need to see it with my own eyes. Stubbornness isn't a trait you're usually known for, yet the firmness in your voice leaves Tristan with little choice. Please, my lady, stay as close to me as possible. The ground might be icy. Nodding quickly to brush off his concerns, your thoughts are consumed by one thing: the origin of the crimson lily. Perhaps that's why, even though you haven't gone far, you fail to notice the freshly snow-covered pit right in front of you. And we fall down. It all happens in a fleeting moment, right after you let go of Tristan's arm to adjust your coat. She's just in there in the illustration. As soon as you step forward, the dry grass barely covering the pit crackles under your weight and gives way, and in the blink of an eye, you find yourself in the cold pit. This place, too narrow for a grave, makes it impossible for you to get out on your own. Fortunately, it doesn't take long for Tristan to rush to your aid and pull you out. However, as you hurry back to the carriage, the numbing effect of the cold begins to wear off, and the pain in your leg intensifies to a level you can no longer ignore. The doctor, hastily summoned to the manor, informs you that your condition is worse than you thought. There's no choice but to postpone the wedding. Unlike your fiancé and his family, who rushed to the mansion upon hearing this bad news, you can't say this little accident has made you particularly unhappy. After all, while the entire household and your fiancé dote on you, eagerly waiting your recovery, you now have the perfect excuse to spend the snowy winter days confined to your bed. If only it weren't for the pain. New ending. Your wedding is postponed. Yep. I guess I wasn't supposed to pick that. I think there's more if I don't choose that. Okay, that's what I remember doing last time. I'm going to skip. And make the same choices, except we're not going to go see... I'm not going to check the grave. Because I think we should be able to go back to the manor. No, it's not important. But just a refresher for everyone out there. Because I really want to see Oscar. You've been foolish. There's no way you'll truly believe the white lilies you left behind have changed color. As you take Tristan's offered arm, you feel something new. Embarrassment mixed with unease. These feelings stay with you until you settle into the carriage, waiting at the entrance of the cemetery. The warmth of the enclosed space offers only slight comfort, especially with Tristan sitting directly across from you. His presence is a constant, his sharp eyes ever watchful. You're aware that the situation, traveling alone with a servant, is hardly appropriate for someone like you. But since Tristan's arrival, he's been far from an ordinary butler, to the other staff, and to you. You haven't been sleeping well lately, my lady. If there's anything besides the upcoming wedding troubling you, please don't hesitate to tell me. Your expression hardens reflexively. Daisy told you this, didn't she? Daisy, your maid, listens to him more than she listens to you, much to your ongoing frustration. I'll dismiss her as soon as we return to the manor. For the first time in what feels like forever, a faint smile crosses Tristan's face. As you wish, my lady. I'll make sure a replacement with all the necessary qualities is arranged promptly. That's precisely the problem. You doubt any new maid, no matter how reserved, would defy him. Tristan is too commanding for a servant, and you far too compliant for a master. Still, his flawless management of the estate over the past 5 years has left no room for complaint, even from you. The sound of hooves crunching through snow fills the silence. Wolves, my lady. You asked me what kept me up at night. Tristan narrows his eyes slightly. Ah, I see. The howls from the forest near the manor, perhaps. It feels like they're howling louder than ever these nights. I'll arrange for hunters from the nearby village to deal with it, my lady. You needn't concern yourself. Thank you. If that's truly all that keeps you up. Your voice rises unintentionally. What do you mean by that, Tristan? Perhaps you should consider postponing the wedding, my lady. I only suggest this because winters are particularly hard on your health. Forgive me if I've overstepped. Your brows knit together in irritation, yet you can't immediately find the words to refute him. Oscar, the fiancé, is a noble alpha, and you a noble omega. Marrying Oscar isn't about love. It's an obligation like every other inexplicable, unshakable duty in your world. You know neither you nor your fiancé truly has a say in this. Postponing the wedding will only temporarily mask this reality. Still, you sense that Tristan's words might be hinting at your passiveness in the situation. Thank you for thinking of me, Tristan, but I'm well enough. Everything should proceed as planned. The decision is mine to make, Tristan. I'll let it slide this time, but I don't want you bringing this up again. I'm going to go here, just because I feel like I picked the first one last time. Since you avert your gaze, you can't quite make out the expression on Tristan's face. It looked like looked like he was looking more seriously. However, the usually hesitant tone in his voice proves that he's taking your warning to heart. I'm grateful, my lady. I assure you it won't happen again. As time passes, you hear the eerie creak of the wrought iron gates surrounding the estate's grounds. The sound signals the end of your journey. Descending from the carriage, you clutch your bag tightly. Hidden beneath your handkerchief lies the crimson lily you found at the grave. How did you sneak that in? Into your bag. Sneaky. Love it. The dark silhouette of Manor greets you with all its gloom in the middle of the white landscape. Even though this has disturbed you since childhood, you cannot deny that over the years it has unintentionally bound you to this place. When your fiancé expressed a desire to live here after your marriage, enjoying the Manor's atmosphere, it was one of the few decisions you made together. Due to its age and size, the Manor has never been adequately warm or well lit. Still, as you step inside, the familiar sense of comfort and security relaxes you. Your maid, Daisy, hurries over with quick steps to help you out of your thick outerwear. She looks at you with a warm expression, as if seeking forgiveness for some unspoken guilt. Shall I prepare your bath? You decide to set aside the topic of a new maid for now. Yes, please. As you climb the stairs, you overhear Tristan giving her instructions. Make sure the bath is properly heated. Also, bring chamomile tea with honey and lemon. Without a single protest, Daisy bows to him in a manner she is clearly accustomed to, and a flicker of rebellion ignites within you. However, you realize that scolding and punishing the maid would only be a superficial solution. The real battle you need to fight is against Tristan. You must weaken his authority in the mansion and start by changing this order. Still, you are too tired to challenge the established order in the manor. It's a fatigue that has been intensifying in recent days, robbing you of restful sleep. It feels as if every step you take tightens invisible chains, weighing you down, forcing you to stop. You try to tell yourself this is just wedding stress. At least, you don't have a more reasonable explanation for it. Not yet. The oppressive silence of the manor, filled only with the sound of crackling firewood and distant footsteps, is suddenly interrupted by the creak of a door. Your eyes quickly find your maid, who has appeared at the entrance. The bath is ready, my lady. Thank you. I'm coming. As you step into the bathroom, the stifling heat envelops you. It's much warmer and more humid than usual. Steam rises from the water in the tub, filling the room with a pale glow and fogging the windows at the top of the bathroom. How is the temperature, my lady? You want to ask her to open a window, but the warmth quickly surrounds you, spreading to every corner of your body. It's fine. I'm glad. The butler mentioned you stayed outside for quite some time. This will do you good. With Daisy's help, you manage to easily slip out of your clothes. In a short time, a pile of fabric forms at your feet, and you can feel the heat directly on your bare skin. Since it's light outside, I don't think you'll need many candles. Daisy lights a few candles quickly, then turns to gather the pile of clothes. Would you like me to assist you while you bathe, my lady? Naked and vulnerable, you suppress the chill that rises within you and move toward the tub. No need, Daisy. Thank you. Don't forget to drink your tea. The closing door echoes in the room as Daisy departs. Slowly lowering your body into the warm water, you sink entirely into the tub. At that moment, the pleasant and refreshing aroma from the side of the tub catches your attention. Sure, I'll drink it. Despite the tart taste filling your mouth, with the first sip, you keep drinking. You're amazed at how well Tristan seems to know exactly what you need. Soon, an odd sense of joy fills your mind. It feels as if all the invisible chains that weighed you down have snapped, one by one. The approaching wedding, the exhaustion of recent days, the wolves howling through the night, the crimson lilies in the cemetery, the snow-white winter. All of it fades into distant memories in your mind. Pretty good. Pretty potent chamomile tea and a nice bath. That sounds really good for winter. Your entire body is enveloped in a sweet lethargy. Sleep closes your eyes with a pleasant inevitability. You taste peace. When you open your eyes again, you find yourself still in the bathroom, but you can sense something strange even before you see it. At first glance, the only noticeable difference is the absence of daylight filtering through the windows above, replaced by shadows cast by the extinguished candles Daisy had lit. You likely dozed off in the tub. The air is so stifling that it's hard to gauge how much time has passed, but you feel the sharp clarity and freshness that comes after an untimely, prolonged rest. Just as you're about to sit up and leave the tub, your gaze falls on a dark silhouette by the edge of the tub. It doesn't take you long to realize that the shadow is actually a large face with a wide, toothy grin leaning against your tub. Fear courses through your veins, pumping adrenaline into every corner of your body. Woof, woof. The reverberation of the voice against the walls is unsettling, yet oddly it comforts you. Extending your hand out of the tub, you begin stroking the uninvited guest who had been watching you inappropriately. The creature responds with quick, noisy breaths from its nose, expressing its delight. What are you doing here, Snow? Snow is one of the few things you love about winter. It's our dog, our wolf. A few years ago, during an incredibly harsh winter, you followed faint, pitiful whimpers outside the manor and found Snow buried in a snow-filled pit on the verge of freezing. Back then, his wet, sparse fur was barely distinguishable from the snow. Now it has grown thick and glossy. As you run your fingers through his fur, you suddenly realize your hand is wet. You pull it back. You're soaking wet, Snow. Have you been rolling around in the snow again while I was gone? This discovery dampens your mood, and you can't help but grumble. How could they let you outside? You can't even count how many times Snow has slipped out to the forest without anyone noticing. If there's one thing you remember clearly, it's warning everyone in the manor about this repeatedly. Despite his silence, Snow's large eyes remain fixed on you. Don't look at me like that, Snow. The wild wolves in the forest could tear you apart. As you move your hand away from the tub's edge, you notice the trail it leaves behind. Sorry, I had to go back, because there's something in the tub. Thick, dark droplets slowly distort the handprint, and you realize that the substance coating Snow's fur isn't melted snow. Your anger quickly gives way to another emotion. Snow! I can't believe this. What happened to you? An enigmatic expression dominates Snow's shadowed face, devoid of pain. Your gaze instinctively shifts from him to yourself. And that's when you realize the truth. The marks don't come from Snow. They come from you. The tub you've been sitting in is filled with blood. I can't yell. No! Your first scream is filled more with shock than fear. No matter how many times you open and close your eyes, the reality before you doesn't change. This can't be. How could so much blood come from me? You're absolutely certain you don't feel any pain. I'm not injured. You need to get out of the tub immediately. But despite the clarity of your mind, your body refuses to move, frozen like a corpse. And that is the final blow to your control. Help! Daisy! Show's sharp teeth suddenly clamp down on your bare arm, igniting a new wave of panic. Are you trying to drag us somewhere, Snow? No, Snow, stop, please. Instead of pain or burning, you feel only pressure as Snow's powerful jaws tighten around your arm. With surprising strength, he manages to drag you out of the tub. Snow, let me go. If you want to help me, go outside and get someone. No matter what you say, you can't stop him. And now we're dragged out of the tub. The liquid from the tub spills onto the floor as you are pulled out, and you feel the sticky blood adhering your body to the ground like glue. Crying, screaming, you have no other option. Please, someone, come here. Isn't anyone there? Snow Snow nudges you a few times with his paws before abandoning his efforts. He circles you in strange patterns, letting out low, agonized whines. The stiffness and coldness enveloping your body, the blood-filled tub, your unheard cries, and Snow's pained howls ignite one singular thought in your mind. As if trying to escape the reality, you let out a final, desperate cry. We're calling for Tristan. Extra exclamation points. 3 exclamation points. Tristan! Your voice cuts off abruptly. You have no means left to call for help. At the same moment, Snow gives up his futile struggle and collapses hopelessly to the floor. In the ensuing silence, you see the shadows in the bathroom multiply. Cold darkness and silence. It feels like the beginning of an eternal sleep. I also think, should we have drank? Should we have had the tea? I don't know. I don't know if that would change anything. However, everything changes in an instant. The sound of hurried footsteps echo across the manor. The mansion, the sound of hurried footsteps echoing through the mansion fills your ears, and your heart and senses come alive again. As the footsteps rapidly approach, the door suddenly creaks open with a terrifying screech. My lady, it's me. A shadow grows larger before your eyes, obscuring your vision. As you wait in silent anticipation, the softness of a towel wrapping your damp skin reaches you. Immediately after, strong arms lift you effortlessly off the ground. Everything's fine, my lady. I'm here. Don't be afraid. Though it sounds like a command, his words swiftly slip into your mind, silencing the uncontrollable orchestra of fear inside. Suddenly, you feel the weight of the breaths you're taking. As the stiffness in your body quickly dissolves, an involuntary ache spreads through your muscles. A warm shiver runs down your spine from head to toe. What happened here? It's freezing. My lady, are you all right? The light from the doorway stings your eyes. Even so, you can make out Daisy, standing at the door with a lamp in her hand, scanning the room in astonishment. The bathtub. The weak sound escapes your parted lips. Hearing you, Tristan turns his gaze to Daisy. Check the bathtub. You see Daisy hesitantly pointing her lamp at the tub without fully understanding what's going on. Oh, all the water has spilled out of the tub, and it's gone cold. Water. The realization reignites everything you thought had calmed inside. This time, you're sure it wasn't a hallucination. No, impossible. Tristan, put me down. Tristan's amber eyes narrow in suspicion. My lady? I said, put me down. I'll check the tub myself. Let me go. Your impatient outburst draws startled whispers, making you aware of the spectators at the doorway. If everyone in the manor could hear you, why did it take them so long to arrive? Deciding to leave that question for later, you focus on the moment. Tristan finally complies, slowly setting you down from his arms. You take timid steps toward the bathtub, determined. Handing you the lamp, Daisy murmurs hesitantly. What's the matter, my lady? Did you see a mouse? Ignoring her, you firmly direct the lamp's light at the bathtub. But even before you do, the faint glimmer reflecting the floor proves that only water has spilled from the tub. Looking inside confirms the same. The blood that had filled the tub just moments ago, not even a trace remains. So everything that just happened was nothing more than another. No matter how vivid and terrifying it felt, you refuse to believe it. Tristan's calm but stern voice breaks the silence. Did I assign anyone a task that required standing idly at the door? Am I mistaken? The shadows at the doorway quickly scatter at his tone. As his tone softens slightly, directed at you. You must have had a nightmare, my lady. I think you're right. Please don't be upset. It must have been caused by the sudden change in temperature. Despite the dim light, you can discern the hardening lines on Tristan's face. Luckily, they're not aimed at you. How could you leave my lady alone in the bath for so long? You weren't even aware the fire had gone out. Under Tristan's icy gaze, the poor servant's face turns crimson. I just... Never leave my lady alone under any circumstances, or you'll need to find yourself a new place to work. What are you still waiting for? Take her to her room immediately. Help her dry off and get dressed, and make sure she hasn't been hurt. Not wanting to stay a moment longer in this unsettling place, you hurry to leave. Just as you're about to step out of the room, one of the shadows in the corner moves and lunges at you. Snow? Woof woof. You stare at your dog in disbelief, wondering how it managed to stay still and silent in the bathroom until now. Daisy, afraid of upsetting Tristan further, tries to pull Snow away from you. Now's not the time, Snow. Get away immediately. You never listen. Bad dog. Wait, Daisy. Grabbing a nearby towel, you crouch down to Snow under Daisy's astonished gaze and start drying its fur. Did Snow go outside while I was away? The question catches Daisy off guard. Alright, sorry, I have to plug in my charger. No, my lady. As Tristan approaches, you see her lower her head anxiously, unable to say more. You're certain she's hiding something. Still, you don't want to interrogate her in front of Tristan and prolong the tension of the evening. But just then, you notice a dark stain on the towel in your hands. With a momentary hesitation, you lift your gaze to Tristan. His expression, oddly enough, reassures you. At least this time, you're sure it wasn't your imagination. Not now. Snow starts panting excitedly again, looking at you intently as if trying to tell you something. What is it, Snow? Yet despite the insistence in his large, bright eyes, he can't convey his message. Tristan's shadow leans over him, shrouding him in darkness. Don't worry, my lady. It seems Snow isn't injured. This blood must have come from somewhere else. His brows furrow as he turns his gaze to Daisy. I've told you countless times not to give him bloody raw meat, haven't I? You know it's one of Tristan's rules to tame Snow, who already looks wilder than any ordinary dog. Though you believe that there isn't an ounce of savagery in Snow, you've never opposed Tristan on this matter, especially since he's always claimed Snow was unsuitable for life in the manor. It must have been the kitchen staff who gave it to him. I don't know anything. Truly, my lady. Daisy's pleading gaze is hard to ignore. We're gonna be mean. As the butler, it's your duty to know everything that happens in this manor, Tristan. Tristan pauses for a moment, then withdraws respectfully. Please forgive my incompetence, my lady. You can rest assured that such confusion will never happen in the manor again. As you retreat to your room, Daisy carefully dries and dresses you, but your thoughts remain a tangled mess. You can barely follow her words as she continues, her gaze filled with gratitude, never leaving you. Believe me, my lady, I came as soon as I heard your voice. I just wanted to tidy up your belongings while you were bathing. I noticed one of your perfumes was almost empty, so I went downstairs to send a servant to order a new one. You know, the wedding is approaching, and everything must be perfect. Daisy gently rubs ointment over the few bruises on your back and legs caused by your fall on the bathroom's hard floor. As for the strong bite Snow left on your arm, there isn't a single mark. You could have guessed Snow wouldn't do such a thing, now peacefully curled up and sleeping near the roaring fireplace. Catching your gaze on the dog, Daisy immediately speaks up. I had nothing to do with that bloody meal, my lady. Bloody meal? I mean, the blood on Snow. Maybe he slipped outside and caught a rabbit or something. I never go against Tristan's, or rather, your orders. You know, at least in this matter, she isn't lying. Or more precisely, can't lie. Thank you, Daisy. Since Daisy's taking these marks more seriously than usual due to the approaching wedding, you wait for her to finish her work so you can be alone. Afterward, you try to process everything that happened during the day. After all, you need to make a decision eventually. First, the blood-stained lilies in the cemetery, then the blood-filled bathtub. Bathtub. They're quite different from the hallucinations you've experienced before. I wonder what kind of hallucinations she's had before. I guess it's really, if it's not as vivid as these ones. That's why finding a solution doesn't seem as easy as you'd hoped. If the crimson lily in the cemetery was really dragged from another grave, and Snow just stole raw meat from the kitchen, what am I even thinking? Of course, that must have been what had happened. That must have been what happened. That must be what happened. I can read. You try to push these nonsensical thoughts aside and focus on the upcoming wedding and the details demanding your attention, but before long, sleep overtakes you. And I believe in the original demo, this is where we left off, so I'm really excited from this point on. So I'm not really commenting much on what has just happened with the bathroom and everything. I do wonder. I mean, I'm inclined to believe her given that, like, she knows her own mind. I am suspicious of Tristan, but I don't know because I don't really know his whole history of like who he is and everything. Even though it seems like he does at least want to support our character. But we'll learn more. Oh, this is different. Who is this? Anyways, we're sleeping. Let's see what happens. In the middle of the night, you slip out from beneath your heavy blanket, unsure of what woke you. You approach the window beside your bed and peer outside. The dark forest, starting where the high garden walls end, is cloaked in an eerie stillness and silence tonight. None of the wolf howls that filled the recent nights reach your ears now. I wonder if Tristan already took care of that or not. That'd be good. He would work fast though. Stepping away from the window, your gaze returns to your room, warm and brightly lit by the crackling fire. Daisy, insistent on not leaving you alone, sleeps peacefully in the chair by the fireplace, her head resting against its back. Tristan scared her. But I was like, oh, okay, that would explain here why Daisy's here. Snow, curled up at her feet, shares the same tranquility. Despite the nightmare you experienced in the bathroom, you desperately need this peaceful sleep you found there. You start thinking of something that could help you achieve it. You consider what might help you and think of chamomile tea as your best option. At least for now, a hot bath is out of the question. Not wanting to disturb Daisy's sleep, you decide to head to the kitchen. Someone there is bound to be awake prepping for the day ahead, as work in the kitchen starts earlier than in the rest of the manor. Wrapping yourself in your robe, you slip quietly away into the hallway. The oppressive atmosphere of the manor, combined with the chill and silence of the night, feels overwhelming. You quicken your pace as you descend the stairs and head toward the kitchen. I feel like I'm not reading. I keep making a lot of mistakes right now. I wonder why. I am just so caught up in the tension of the story, I guess. It is really good to be back, and I'm really enjoying the music, and I'm hoping we learn a bit more here. I don't know, though, if I would have chamomile tea after what happened just earlier, but maybe our character's not connecting that to what is all happening. Anyways. But despite the lit lamps and the boiling pot in the stove, the kitchen is empty. Your steps almost instinctively lead you to the other side of the kitchen, to the open door leading to the corridor where the storage rooms are located. In the dark hallway, you easily spot the only door ajar, light spilling through its gap. However, the sounds coming from inside, moans perhaps, warn you against approaching. Huh? The only thing you are certain of is that Tristan is in there. Oh, I can't approach. I really want to. I'm clicking on the approach button. Well, I guess that's for later. Return to your room. Maybe we die for your approach and then the wedding's canceled for forever because we're dead. That's just me being very negative. I don't know, actually. I'm curious how the story's gonna turn out. But too bad we can't approach the room. Like ghosts? You think the bones are ghosts? Hmm. You know that encountering an appropriate scene wouldn't suit someone like you. Ah, that type of moaning. Okay. Whatever is happening there, you are confident that Tristan would never let it interfere with his duties. But then why is there stuff in the kitchen? Like, there's stuff on the stove. Whatever, it's fine. With few other options, you decide to return to your room. Crawling back into your bed, you wait helplessly for sleep to take you. Snow, barking a few times in his sleep, makes your effort more challenging. Yet Daisy remains undisturbed. Maybe Daisy couldn't hear anything. Well, I don't know. She seemed like she was downstairs, so. But she seems to be a heavy sleeper, if anything, compared to our character. Eventually, as the room starts to brighten with the first light of dawn, your eyes finally close, only to open just a few hours later. I survived the day. Does that mean if I approached Tristan's room, we wouldn't survive? A new day. Or maybe there's more secrets. No matter how long you sleep, you wake up at the same time every morning without exception and have your breakfast. I feel that lately. Like, even on weekends when I try not to wake up early, I still wake up same time I usually wake up on the weekdays. After all, the rules of this house are so deeply rooted and unshakable that they control even you, the master of the estate. Still, that does not change the fact that you need them. You have no idea how things would function without them. Ooh, our office. When you leave the dining room and take your place at your writing desk, the letters you need to respond to are already waiting for you. In the winter months, the estate and its lands are wrapped in an even deeper silence under the weight of snow. It's like the cold Duke of the North, except we're the cold Duke. Also, I like our fireplace and the candle light. It's very nice. No sound of the heavy door knocker announcing a visitor. No distant rumble of carriage wheels passing by. The only connection you have to the outside world is these letters. During the season, they are usually so few that reading them every couple of days and delivering the necessary replies to Tristan before noon is a simple and routine responsibility. With the ornate letter opener passed down from your father, you slice through the envelopes and glance through their contents with the ease of habit without much thought. Catalogs from the boutiques in town. You are certain your wardrobe has undergone enough changes due to the wedding. Hunting invitations from neighboring estates. You never found fox hunting in the cold to be an enjoyable activity. A note from a maternal relative offering their regrets for being unable to attend the wedding and sending well wishes. This serves as the final confirmation that none of your maternal relatives, those not too distant to have received invitations, will be present at the ceremony. Okay, but your father's relatives or family will be there? I guess. Given the distance, the reluctance to undertake such a journey in winter is understandable. Not that it makes a difference to you. You merely fulfilled your duty as expected. A brief update from your lawyer awaiting your instructions regarding a few minor issues related to the properties. That you can easily leave to Tristan. And a dinner invitation dated today from the Red Hart Manor. The Red Hart Manor belongs to your closest neighbors, your fiancé and his family. For the past few months, you have politely declined every invitation you received, citing poor health due to the season. For a moment, you considered doing the same with this one. After all, the letter states that it is merely a small, intimate dinner. Ink spills from the tip of your pen onto the paper, forming a series of well-rehearsed words, apologies, and another refusal. Just as you were about to finish your letter, you hear a knock at the door and lift your head. Come in. I was like, is Snow just coming in? Is it Snow and Daisy? Oh. Contrary to your expectations, it is not the butler who enters, but your maid, carrying a silver tray, followed closely by Snow, who dashes into the room. Hi, cutie. I brought you tea and some refreshments, my lady. You try to recall when you made such a request.
Yet as you attempt to remember, even the moment before grows hazy in your mind. You forget why you were writing the letter in front of you in the first place. Seeing the bewilderment on your face, Daisy's eyebrows lift in alarm. Last time you said a single plate of refreshments would be enough as long as there were no guests. Or, at least I thought that's what you said, my lady. If you prefer, I can ask them to prepare the large serving tray right away.
It's okay, Daisy. You are trying your best, I know.
Your dog, after allowing himself to be petted for a while and devouring the biscuit Daisy accidentally dropped on the floor, quickly moves away from you and heads to the burning fireplace. You shake yourself as if rousing from sleep. The letters, petting your dog, Daisy's arrival with the tray. It all reemerges in your mind as nothing more than links in a chain of routine, a cycle that repeats without the need for any request. No, Daisy, thank you for doing exactly as I asked. But what about that moment of forgetfulness? It feels as though the exhaustion in your body is seeping into your mind. You push the thought aside and return to your letters without delay. As Daisy, relieved from her earlier nervousness, sets the tray down on the table, her eyes catch one of the opened envelopes. Her enthusiastic voice slices the quiet ambiance of the small study like a blade.
Sometimes my brain likes to jump so much more quickly than I want it to, and I read things wrong.
I didn't know you were writing to Lord Oscar. My lady, please forgive me for interrupting. Unfortunately, the words you penned lack the romance and passions she's likely imagining. You are well aware of how betas romanticize Omega and Alpha marriages, envisioning them as bonds of perfect compatibility, intense attraction, and unwavering devotion.
Okay, so I mean, Alpha is like, okay, we're at the top of the food chain, I guess, and then Omegas are also closer to the top relative to Betas. Good to know.
Yet, in reality, these unions, forged for power and status, require no such conditions. Still, in this moment, you realize something important about Oscar's letter. Something that nearly escaped your notice. The problem lies in the handwriting. The dinner invitation was not written or signed by your fiancé, but by someone else, merely posing as him. Oscar's action is either a gross act of negligence or a blatant display of disrespect, or perhaps both. Taking the letter you wrote to your fiancé in hand, you rise from your chair and approach the fireplace. Just before you let the paper slip into the rising flames, you turn to Daisy. Could you summon Tristan for me? Of course, my lady.
Ooh, we're gonna go to the Red Fort Manor. I wanna see your fiance. I wanna see like who they are, like the family and things.
As you watch the letter ignite with a sharp hiss and crumble into ash, your thoughts begin to crowd your mind, filling the silence Daisy leaves behind as she departs. You are well aware that communication between you and Oscar has dwindled as the wedding approaches, but you are unsure which of you is more at fault for that. Before the marriage decision was announced to you, the familiarity of being neighbors with Oscar, along with the social ties of belonging to the same circle, should have naturally fostered a smooth, effortless bond between you. At least, that was what your guardians had told you. Yet now you can feel that bond stretch thin, on the verge of snapping at any moment. And if it does, you have no idea what awaits you on the other side. The only certainty is that your guardians and your place in society would not approve, and that you must attend this dinner tonight. A firm, commanding knock echoes through the small salon, drawing your gaze toward the entrance. There you see Tristan. Hello. As Tristan bows before you with his usual precision, you notice his gaze lingering on you with more scrutiny than usual, as though he is assessing whether you are still under the influence of yesterday's hallucinations. To be fair, you cannot say for certain yourself. You summoned me, my lady. I am at your service. I hope you are feeling better today than you did yesterday. You respond in a steady voice, motioning toward the desk. I am, Tristan. Thank you. The letters are ready for delivery. You may take them from the desk. But before I respond to the lawyer, I wanted to hear your thoughts. You catch the way Tristan's golden eyes narrow slightly. Realizing that this will be no different from any of your usual conversations, his gaze shifts swiftly from you to the desk as he moves towards it, prepared to carry out your request. Yet before leaning over the scattered envelopes and letters, he hesitates. You have no doubt that Daisy has already informed him of what transpired, the letter from your fiancé, your response, and the fact that you burned it. The lawyer's letter is in the corner. Tristan, bowing his head, sheds his pretended hesitation in approaching your desk filled with personal correspondence, encouraged by this implicit approval. Still, for a fleeting moment, his eyes drift elsewhere, somewhere other than the lawyer's letter. But the moment passes quickly. The issues in the letter seem to be more serious than stated, my lady. If I may offer my humble opinion, it would be wise to send a trusted person to assess the situation before granting the lawyer the approval he seeks. His ever-calm voice makes it easy to trust him without question. After all, in 5 years, you have never encountered a reason not to. You may handle it as you see fit, Tristan, but I believe it must be done swiftly. I will go to town this afternoon to take care of the necessary correspondence, my lady. There is no need for concern. I will also speak with a few hunters from the village regarding the wolf problem in the forest. Huh, so you didn't get to them yesterday. But we didn't hear anything yesterday. And I have already given the kitchen staff proper instructions regarding your dog's diet. I do not believe we will encounter that issue again. And if there's anything else you require, my lady, you need only say the word. In the silence that follows, the soft, rhythmic breathing of snow dozing by the fire fills the room. It is clear that with all these tasks, Tristan will not be able to accompany you to Red Heart Manor tonight. Though you're not accustomed to traveling alone, the mutual dissatisfaction between your fiancé and your butler makes Tristan's absence the more appropriate choice for this dinner. After a brief hesitation, you make your decision. Have the coachman prepare for the evening, Tristan. I will be attending dinner at Red Heart Manor. He looks a little shocked. Let's see. Yeah, his expression changed, look. Yep. For fleeting moments, something like surprise flashes through Tristan's golden eyes, an expression you are not used to seeing from him. Yet his voice remains composed, unwavering. Forgive me, my lady. Did you mean this evening? I did. Please see to your tasks. I will go alone. You know that Tristan cannot press the matter outright, and so he takes another approach. My lady, forgive my impertinence, but with the recent heavy snowfall, I have concerns about whether the road to Red Heart Manor is passable for a carriage. Had there been more time, I would have sent someone ahead to inspect it. In this weather, there is a high risk of your carriage getting stuck in the snow, or, God forbid, an accident occurring. His words unsettle you. The thought of the carriage wheels sinking into an unseen ditch, of the axles breaking, of the horses panicking and injuring themselves. For someone who does not enjoy travel to begin with, these are not mere inconveniences. They are a nightmare, especially given your recent exhaustion and the hallucinations. But the dinner is important. You must see your fiancé soon, before the impression that you have neglected him takes root. Are you suggesting I go on horseback instead? No. I trust you will find a suitable solution, difficult as it may be, Tristan. If it weren't for this obligation, I would never have asked this of you. Though his gaze remains cold, pressing the irrationality of your decision, his voice takes on a softer tone when he speaks again. You are too modest, my lady. If there is anyone who may ask anything of me, it is you. I believe it would be best for a rider to accompany the carriage, ensuring the coachman is informed of the road's condition in advance and keeping watch over you. This would make it easier to send for help or to turn back should anything go amiss. Okay, thanks really quickly. Additionally, I'll ensure that provisions, blankets, and anything else necessary for your comfort during the journey are prepared. I am certain you will reach Red Heart Manor without issue. His words instill enough confidence for you to commit to the journey, even if his expression suggests otherwise. Lately, you have not only lost trust in others, but in yourself. Perhaps this trip will help you reclaim some of it. Or at least you wish to believe so. Later in the day, though Tristan is no longer at the manor, the instructions he left behind ensure that everything proceeds seamlessly. By the time the coachman informs you that all preparations are complete, you leave your room, ready to depart.
I'm ready to see the family, the Red Heart people.
Though dinner is still hours away, everyone, including yourself, agrees that it is best to set out early, just in case we're delayed. Daisy follows you with eager steps, seeing you off, and though she's the only one pleased about your attendance at this dinner, you find a small sense of relief in that. Well, her and Snow, who excitedly dashes around your feet, expecting an evening walk. If dinner stretches late into the night, please do not rush back, my lady. I am certain Lord Oscar would be kind enough to offer you accommodations for the night. A thought gives you a pause. You recall that until now, neither your fiancé nor you have ever spent the night at each other's mansions. Considering that you are neighbors, this is quite surprising. No doubt. Daisy, still caught up in her delight, does not notice the irony in your voice. If that is the case, you will need a maid to assist you. Lord Oscar will surely assign the best in his household to attend you, but no matter who he chooses, she will not be me. If you wish, I can prepare at once and accompany you, my lady. As a servant pulls the door open, the wind rushes in, carrying the frigid air of the outside world into the entryway. The sudden chill, coupled with your brief hesitation, delays your response for a moment longer than intended. Unlike Tristan, Daisy will undoubtedly spend the entire journey chattering about the upcoming wedding without pause.
So, I guess that's not good. Is that good or bad? Given that we don't really want to have the wedding.
That's very thoughtful of you, Daisy, but I may not need the company. I might not even wish to complete the journey to Red Heart Manor. Daisy, struggling to keep Snow from darting outside, stares at you in bewilderment, momentarily at a loss for words. You don't wish to shatter her romantic notion so bluntly, but you continue regardless. Please look after Snow while I'm gone. Before your resolve can falter, you swiftly descend the manor steps and head toward the waiting carriage. Nice. As you settle into the carriage, the door shuts behind you with a firm thud, sealing you away from the cold and the dim, heavy silence of the winter night. Everything inside has been prepared for your comfort. Several thick blankets, a basket overflowing with refreshments, and a few books you recently acquired but have yet to read. They should be enough to keep you occupied. The carriage lurches forward, beginning its journey.
I wonder how long it takes to get over there.
For a while, you find yourself gazing outside, watching as the high garden walls of the estate fade into the dense woods beyond. The snow drapes over the trees, covering their branches in a pale bluish-white shroud. It is a breathtaking sight, one that is both enchanting and unsettling. Then a sharp, thin, and fragmented sound cuts through the stillness. What? Your ears strain to catch its source, but before you can pinpoint it, a dark figure moves in the depths of the forest. You don't know how long it has been there, but the moment your gaze lands upon it, it vanishes, as if aware that you have seen it. A trick of the eye, perhaps. Yet an uneasy shiver runs through you, as if unseen eyes are still watching. Most likely it was a poacher who had wandered into the woods and feared being caught. That must be all.
Surely it can't be anything else.
Still, you draw the curtains over the windows before returning your focus to the book in your lap, skimming through its pages without absorbing a single word. At first, you barely notice the subtle deceleration of the carriage. It is only when the horses come to a full stop that your grip on the book tightens. The muffled sound of boots and crunching through the snow draws closer. Your heart pounds, though you keep your gaze trained on the book. Then the door creaks open, and a familiar face from the manor stands before you. The rider who had accompanied your journey, the one the coachman had called Rudolph. Hello. His silvery hair glows faintly under the light, a striking resemblance to Tristan's. Okay. Are they related? They could, I don't know. You suspect he too must have come from one of the villages surrounding the estate. The road is nearly blocked with snow, and there's bound to be ice.
They're all gonna have the same voice.
It hasn't been used much lately. If we continue, we'll have to slow down significantly, my lady. Tristan's warnings proving accurate once again does little to ease your frustration. Even if you press on, it's clear you'll be late for dinner at this pace. If you weigh your options, a sound thin, fractured, and aching. Oh, a sound, thin, fractured, and aching, cuts through the silence. It startles you. This time it echoes deeper within the woods. Oh, but the shadow, you catch it now, pressed against the trunk of a tree much closer than before. Your hand lifts, almost of its own accord, pointing it out to Rudolph before your mind can register the movement. Yet the moment he turns to look, it's already gone. Rudolph, help us. The rustling branches stirred by the wind whisper through the trees. That eerie sensation creeps up your spine again. This time you're certain. Something or someone has been watching you for the entire journey. And if not, then the alternative is that it's all in your mind. You force yourself to move with measured caution as you turn back to Rudolph. Did you hear that just now? His response is immediate. Of course, my lady. Likely a predator. I couldn't quite place it, but in this weather, anything you saw was probably it. They say their numbers have grown significantly in the forest lately. What are they looking for? His eyes gleam as he answers. Food, my lady. Just like the rest of us. But there's no need for concern. We have rifles with us. He pauses before adding, what is your decision? Shall we turn back or do we continue forward?
Oh, okay, I'm gonna save. We're gonna go save. And we're gonna go. And I'm assuming that I would want to come back to this particular choice to come back and check out what happens if we turn around, because we're gonna go.
No matter how much we have to slow down, we will keep going. Your words cause the young man's eyes to cloud with unease, but he merely lowers his head slightly, unable to oppose you. As you command, my lady, I'll inform the coachman immediately. As the door closes, the narrow enclosed space of the carriage fills you with a sense of safety and warmth, offering you some comfort.
When we stopped, I thought we were already there at the manor.
But you know it won't last forever. With nightfall, the dropping temperatures and growing fatigue will make the journey increasingly difficult, and yet thinking of Oscar's indifferent and mocking nature, you doubt he sees much significance in this arduous trip. You are just about to tell the coachman to turn back, when despite not having traveled too far, the carriage suddenly lurches forward with alarming speed. It takes only a moment for you to realize that this isn't the coachman's doing. You're sliding on ice. Oh gosh. Thrown off balance, you instinctively reach for something to hold on to, but it's useless. Oh gosh. You fall onto the carriage floor. Fortunately, the thick pile of blankets cushioning your landing spares you from any serious harm. At the same time, the horses come to an abrupt halt, managing to stop the carriage. Your heart pounds so violently that the sound roars in your ears, nearly drowning out the noise of the carriage door opening. My lady, I'm fine. Rudolph exhales in relief as you realize you're unharmed, merely tangled in thick blankets. With his help, you stand and step out of the tilted carriage. Though your breath fogs your vision, it doesn't take long to grasp the situation. The carriage has veered off the road, crashing through the trees, and the horses are now buried up to their bodies in a snow-covered bog. A wave of regret burns through you like fire. While the other two assess the situation, you remain silent, merely listening. We should go find help. Don't be ridiculous. By the time help arrives, the horses will be dead. Shut up and help me. With Rudolph's assistance, the coachman manages to unfasten the horses from their harnesses and straighten the carriage. But saving the horses will take far more effort. Standing at the roadside, watching them struggle, you can feel the weight of their stolen glances, the silent accusations pressing down on you. Guilt and unease settle on your shoulders like an unbearable burden. You cannot shake the feeling that something worse is coming. That something hidden in the darkness, lurking behind the trees, is watching you. But you can't point out every shadow that surrounds you. You can't burden them with yet another problem. Helplessly, you retreat into the carriage and wait. Despite the comfort it offers, at this moment the carriage feels no different from a cage. With no other way to distract yourself, you pick up your book once more, trying to drown out your thoughts. Suddenly finding yourself in darkness, your first reaction is confusion, but the weight of the book resting your lap makes you realize you must have dozed off while reading. After what happened in the bathtub yesterday, you had no idea how you managed to fall asleep so easily outside in the middle of the forest. This time it feels as you merely blinked, yet exhaustion still clings to you. Then an eerie shiver crawls over your skin, unrelated to the cold. Only now do you notice the carriage is still not moving. But the sky is already pitch black. The only sound is the howling of the wind.
Maybe I forgot what the objective of this whole thing is. We're supposed to survive until the wedding. Maybe it was not good for us to come this way, to keep going. What happened to Rudolph and the coachman? Your instincts scream at you not to step outside. But what about this silence? This stillness? Summoning your courage, you push the blankets off your trembling hands and crack the carriage door open. Snowflakes drift gently in the air, brushing against your face, but the silence greeting you is far from soothing. The trees around you, cloaked in deepening shadows, seem larger, misshapen, distorted. I suppose Rudolph was right. We need to call for help. But as you step to the front of the carriage, your words freeze in the air, just like your breath. The horses stand ready, harnessed, prepared to depart. Then what are they waiting for? More importantly, where are the others? Your gaze darts around in growing dread. You know which, with absolute certainty, they wouldn't have left you alone here. Tristan would have killed them himself. Which means, if something emerged while you were asleep in the carriage, you try to reassure yourself by recalling Rudolph's words. They had rifles. He told you not to worry. Yet a whisper from deep within tells you that the rifles might not be more useful than a child's toy. Oh, there's a blood trail. This is crazy. Oh my gosh. The moon above spills its gold silver light onto the road, making the snow glisten, like the path to a fairy tale realm. But something mars this enchanting scene. A stain. A deep crimson stain that unsettles your senses far too much. Lifting your head, you see more of them ahead. Dozens of them. No. No, it can't be. Impossible. They must belong to some poor animal. The others must have encountered something urgent, something that required them to leave suddenly. They'll be back any moment now. But no matter how hard you try, you cannot bring yourself to believe this hopeful scenario. Your steps instinctively urge you back to the safety of the carriage, yet guilt anchors you in place. If only you had been reasonable. If only you had turned back before the accident. If only you had never set out at all. An animal. Just an animal. It has to be. But no matter what you tell yourself, the truth seeps into your bones, like the melting crimson stain spreading through the snow. Your heart pounds wildly, as if it might burst through your ribs. Every fiber of your being screams at you to retreat. Get back inside, lock the door, wait. Although we might freeze overnight. But for how long? Tristan will find you, surely. He always does. But what if something else finds you first? There's no way out. The red trail beckons you deeper into the forest, pulling you forward against your better judgment. Rudolph? Until you see it, a pool of blood beneath a tree trunk, and in its center a man, lying motionless as if dead. Even before stepping closer, you know. It's Rudolph. Your hands fly to your mouth, trapping the scream that turns into a hard lump in your throat. No, no, no. God, please. Despite the burning in your lungs from uneven breaths, despite the sharp ache twisting through your muscles, you desperately want to believe this is not real. But it is. And we only saw that man as a silhouette earlier. A hallucination, maybe, like yesterday. Where she's blinking. But no matter how many times you blink, the scene before you does not change. Then you notice it.
the weak and rise and fall of his chest. He's still breathing. Rudolph! How could he still be alive after losing so much blood? At that moment, the sound of snapping branches reaches your ear. A shadow emerges suddenly among the trees, like a ghost. Huh? It moves so fast that you have no chance to scream or run. You are completely trapped. As if your body is no longer under your control, your legs suddenly refuse to support you, and you collapse onto your knees. Like prey, ready to be hunted. You should have never come to this forest. The only thing still under your control is your mouth. You manage to move your lips. No. You can't eat me. I'm not food.
Oh, hello? Kind of looks like our fiancé.
As the shadow draws closer, its terrifying bulk shirks down to human proportions, and the eerie silence of the forest is broken by a powerful, energetic laugh.
What? Oscar? I feel like he's just messing with us at this point. Hello?
I'm sure you're not food, my dear. At the very least, I'd take a well-seasoned venison steak over you. You got my hopes up for nothing.
Are you hunting?
A moment later, the shadow becomes clearer. His jacket, the ornate hunting rifle in his hand, the blood-red gleam of his hair in the darkness, and the sharp cut of his jawline. All the details that make him Oscar, your fiancé. Unlike the last time you saw him, surrounded by luxury and grandeur at a lavish gathering, now you find him standing in the cold, dark depths of the forest. For a moment, your mind struggles to comprehend it. You even fear that he might be a hallucination.
Is Rudolph still dead over there, or he needs assistance?
And yet, despite the rising tide of fear within you, there's an odd sense of relief that cuts through it. A moment later, your voice returns. Oscar, please help me. There's something in this forest following me. I felt like I was being watched since the beginning of my journey, but I thought I was imagining things. But it already attacked Rudolph. Look at him. He's lying there covered in blood. It could come back any moment. As Oscar's long hunting boots crunch through the snow, you lift your gaze toward him. Yet despite everything you've just said, he doesn't seem concerned at all. Instead, under the moonlight, his smirk becomes even more pronounced. My dear, I can understand why you're so excited to see me, but I have no idea what nonsense you're spouting. If you're done with your greetings, get up already. You hesitate for a moment before taking his outstretched hand. There's no other choice. Oscar pulls you up with a force stronger than you expected, and now you're standing closer. Now that you're standing closer, you can get a better look at his face, especially his eyes. Despite the nonchalance in his voice, you realize he's carefully studying you. Good. You didn't hit your head anywhere. For a second, you almost had me worried. You try to calm yourself, but your voice still comes out frantic and fast. Oscar, are you even listening to me? I'm serious. Look at Rudolph, You stop mid-sentence as your eyes fall on Rudolph, realizing something horrifying. The pool of blood around him is gone, as if it had evaporated into thin air, just like what happened in the cemetery and in the bathroom. Oscar, noticing your silence, crouches beside the man lying in the snow. Rudolph. I was almost sure his name was something ridiculous, like Tristan. Whatever.
Is he still breathing?
Shit. Shit. He's not dead. I thought you finally decided to get rid of him and brought him to my estate to bury him.
Oscar, please.
Your mind comes to a complete halt. You don't know what to think anymore. The only thing you're certain of is that Rudolph is your priority.
Yes, he's still alive.
Please stop joking and help me figure out what's wrong with him.
Do I look like a doctor to you, darling?
Despite his exasperated tone, Oscar sets his rifle aside and checks Rudolph's pulse before turning him onto his side to examine him. It doesn't take him long to realize that this man is not your butler. Oh, another... another white-haired man? Your preferences truly leave me speechless, dear. Looks like he's just passed out, though if he stays like this much longer, he'll freeze to death. Even though your mind is full of questions, Oscar's words bring a small relief in the middle of this wretched journey. You eagerly speak up. What happened to the coachman? My carriage is nearby. We can carry him there. For a brief moment, the mockery in Oscar's eyes dims. Yes. My dear, may I remind you, I'm your fiancé, not your servant. You must be confusing me with someone else. Please, I'm begging you. Please, I'm begging you. Your fiancé's face momentarily betrays his displeasure, but his voice retains its usual mocking tone. You know, you don't wear begging well. We gotta save this man's life, my dude. Should have known that a remark like this wouldn't faze him. Still, determined to stand your ground, you ignore him and kneel beside Rudolph. Huh? Oh, you got up? Wait. Without another word, he retrieves the rifle he had placed on the ground and takes a few steps away from you. Huh? A sudden flash of fire pierces the darkness, followed by the deafening crack of gunpowder. It doesn't take much to realize he just fired a shot to signal his location. Soon the shadows surrounding you stir, followed by the sound of approaching voices. Did you get it, Oscar? Was it a big deer? Want to see it for yourself? It's lying right over there. I don't know, I'm gonna make him sound annoying now that I really don't like him. As the first shadow emerges in the moonlight, you recognize the man's face from the lavish parties you've attended, but now in the forest gloom, he looks vastly different. His features are tense with urgency. Bloody hell! Did you shoot a man? I need help getting rid of the body. The tense silence lasts only for a moment before Oscar's lips curl into that signature twisted smirk. You're too easy to fool, you know. It's not even fun anymore. I don't know. I'm gonna have to solidify my Oscar voice so I can make him sound not like Tristan, but I also really don't like him, so... But should we trust Tristan? Just by, default, And as Oscar's hunting party reaches you, you finally learn where your missing coachman has been. One of the approaching figures steps forward, his outline illuminated by the lantern's glow, and you recognize him instantly. Oh. By the time we got the horses free, it was already too dark. Continuing on would have been too dangerous. When I heard the gunshot, I thought Lord Oscar might be out hunting. Since Rudolph wasn't familiar with Lord Oscar's men, I went to ask for help. He insisted he wouldn't leave your side. I can't understand how he could be so reckless. Since Rudolph remains unconscious, there's no way to get an answer right now. Okay, well, glad everything made sense. But I still don't like Oscar. Something must have captured Rudolph's attention. As you make your way back to the carriage, the glow of lanterns held by Oscar's men fails to reveal any traces of the red stains that had led you to Rudolph. Instead of easing your fear, this only makes it worse. It was all in your head. Then how did you manage to find Rudolph when there's not a single trace of him left behind? And why is the carriage door open? Did you forget to close it? Did the wind blow it open? Or had the shadow been here? Had it looked inside to find you? I don't know. I don't know if we forgot to close the door. I feel like we didn't, but A fresh wave of fear washes over you. Even now, you still feel like you're being watched. As long as you remain in this forest, you doubt you'll ever be free of that feeling. Even as a child, a single glance at the woods beyond your bedroom window had been enough to send chills down your spine. Now you vow to keep the curtains tightly shut on every future journey. Once inside the carriage, your gaze drifts to Rudolph, bundled up in thick blankets and fast asleep in the corner, and you can't help but recall that vivid crimson, still warm blood. From outside, you hear Oscar's deep voice carrying over the hushed whispers of his hunting party. Edgar, show the coachman the shortcut to our estate. Let the poor horses catch their breath. This little rescue mission has exhausted me. I'll be riding inside the carriage with my future spouse. Without delay, the carriage door swings open, letting in the cold night air as Oscar steps in. The crimson of his hair and clothes unsettles you, but you try to ignore it. Of course, you already know he will bypass Rudolph entirely and sit beside you. Bracing yourself for discomfort, you inch as close to the window as possible, hoping to put as much space between you as the narrow seat allows. Oscar notices your subtle retreat, yet despite settling into his seat with his usual nonchalance, he does not close the distance. A rare courtesy, or perhaps a subtle confirmation of the distance that has grown between you lately. As the carriage lurches forward again, you close your eyes, willing the rest of this cursed journey to pass quickly. But then, the rustle of the food blanket, a sharp crunch. Oscar has found an apple and wasted no time biting into it. And then, predictably, his voice, ever unrelenting, fills the carriage once more. He must have forgotten that his mouth never ceases to work. What a comfortable little carriage. You have blankets, a well-stocked food basket, and even some ridiculous book about necromancy. Though, personally, I would have preferred a more thrilling and pleasurable pastime. Your eyes snap open, sharp with warning. Oscar meets your gaze with an expression so innocent, it could almost pass for sincere. I only meant conversation, of course. For instance, you still haven't told me what you were doing on my land so late at night, my dear. A part of you concedes that, given his aid in this situation, a little gratitude might be warranted. I assumed you would have figured that out. I was on my way to Red Heart Manor for your dinner invitation.
I mean, but then why would he be hunting? I mean, maybe he thought that you changed your mind, maybe, I guess, is like really the thing. Who knows? For the first time, surprise flickers Oscar's face. I don't recall inviting you to dinner. In fact, I don't recall hosting a dinner at all. Just a quiet meal with a few relatives and friends as usual. Now it's your turn to be caught off guard. I'm not going to do the Oscar voice very well. Oh gosh.
I didn't know that. I received a letter bearing your family seal, written and signed by you. Of course, you conveniently skip over the part where the handwriting doesn't match with his. The realization that this entire journey may have been for nothing gnaws at you. You fix your gaze on him, waiting for a reaction. But Oscar merely takes another exaggerated bite of his apple, then, without an ounce of shame, tosses the half-eaten fruit into the basket. His indifference returns like a well-worn mask. Must have been the steward, which means my mother told him to. You know how the old woman is. Half the time, even I can't make sense of what she's up to. Lady Diana, Oscar's mother, is a formidable alpha in her own right, the true ruler of Red Heart Manor and its lands. Though you know that Oscar has taken full control due to her declining health, how long that will last remains uncertain. Naturally, as a devoted fiancé, I would never have subjected my delicate and ailing betrothed to such an exhausting journey had I known. And yet, this devoted fiancé never thought to check on my well-being. Himself! I kind of want to be super snarky. But, do we want this marriage to happen? Or does he like a little bit of snark, you know? Not that I want him to like us, but I also don't want to be nice to him. And yet, this devoted fiancé never thought to check on my well-being himself, despite hearing I was unwell. For a brief moment, Oscar's ever-mocking expression falters. Then with a slight lift of his brows, his smirk returns. Frankly, I assumed it was just an excuse to avoid me. He's gonna get a very annoying voice now. I still do. I'm gonna try and make it lower. Could you really blame me for thinking that? You grit your teeth, forcing yourself not to rise to his arrogance. You should be prepared for this by now, but somehow he still manages to infuriate you. Yes, because when I said I wasn't well, I actually meant it. You weren't even on my mind. And you do look perfectly fine now, my dear. Still, as a concerned fiancé, I could never allow you or your men to set out on another journey tonight. And here we are. Welcome to Red Heart Manor, my dear. I think my voice is getting tired. With a smooth pull of the curtain, Oscar reveals the grand silhouette of the manor perched atop the hill, its spires and chimneys black against the snow-veiled sky. Ooh, pretty. The sight swallows your doubts. The shortcut was real. You finally reached the end of your journey. Red Heart Manor greets you not with silence, but with warmth. The moment you step inside, a wave of golden light and heat envelops you.
They got money.
Everything is so nicely lit up and everything. The grand hall is lavishly lit and perfectly heated, chasing off the bite of the forest cold that still clings to your sleeves. Compared to the desolate hours spent among the snow-choked trees, this place feels like a hidden sanctuary carved out of winter's jaws. You can almost feel your shoulders drop, tension melting from your spine. No wonder Redheart draws visitors in every season. Who wouldn't seek refuge in such opulence? Of course, for a manor this size, such elegance must come at an exorbitant cost, true. But judging by the army of servants lining the hall, you doubt the owners are concerned with such trivialities. Oscar, by contrast, doesn't even pause to take it in. With the kind of practiced ease only someone raised in excess could manage, he shrugs off his heavy coat and tosses it without looking into the waiting arms of a nearby servant. Then, with his usual feline grace, he makes his way toward a young woman you recognize, Redheart's housekeeper, a sharp-featured, stern-looking matron. Congratulations, Chase. Congratulations, Chase. You caught it midair. You must have been practicing while I was away. We're terribly late, aren't we, my dear? Is everything in order? You don't need to ask whether his endearment is reserved solely for you. The housekeeper's stoic expression makes it perfectly clear. Still, you think you catch a hint of warmth in her voice, or perhaps you only wish to. All is well, my lord. Hey, Edgar, stop fiddling with my rifle. The only reason you're not a better hunter than me is because I'm simply the better hunter. Eh? I'm sure you've got some trick up your sleeve, good man. While Edgar grumbles and hands the weapons over to a waiting footman, your fiancé redirects his attention to the housekeeper. So, tell me, darling. I don't know what voice I'm using for this man. So, tell me, darling. So, tell me, darling. How's the old woman? At the mention of the old woman, the housekeeper's face threatens to tighten, but she restrains herself with practiced grace. You can't help but admire her loyalty to her weakened mistress. Hoping to hear something of Lady Diana's condition, you begin to step forward, only to have your view suddenly blocked by what must be the largest man you've ever seen. A footman, judging by his uniform. Fortunately, there's no reason to panic. He's not come for you, but to carry away Rudolph, still unconscious, who's being half-dragged by your coachman and one of Oscar's hunting companions. Your gaze lingers on the young servant, still slumped and motionless. Pity coils tight in your chest, followed swiftly by curiosity. He needs to see a doctor without delay. There's no visible injury, but we can't know what happened in the forest. He may have struck his head or eaten something poisonous. Though the hulking servant appears to be listening, he offers no response. You aren't entirely sure he even understood you. You're just about to speak again when Oscar cuts in, answering on his behalf. Stop alarming him with all these orders, darling. Redheart has its own doctor. Okay. Though, honestly, I can't say he's done much beyond handing out antacids to my guests. Still, thanks to your boy, we'll get to put his skills to the test. Despite Oscar's dismissive tone, the knowledge that there's a physician on the premises brings a flicker of relief. As the massive servant lifts Rudolph onto his back, it dawns on you. He doesn't respond to your voice or any voice at all. He acts solely on orders already given. He must be both deaf and mute. You don't know how things are typically run at Redheart, but you can't help find this a rather unusual arrangement. Okay, get better, Rudolph. Turning your thoughts away from the unsettling man, you look toward your coachman. Please don't leave Rudolph's side, not even for a moment. If he wakes, inform me at once. Of course, my lady. You needn't worry about him. As the coachman hurries off behind the hulking servant, vanishing quickly from view, your gaze inevitably drifts to the corner where Oscar stands and meets his. You try to remain composed, but wondering how he'll react to a gesture that so clearly betrays your lack of trust. Yet to your surprise, your fiancé chooses to ignore it entirely and simply smiles. Come here, darling. How is my poor housekeeper supposed to serve this many people if she's not even aware of who's coming and going? Have you ever seen this uninvited guest before, Damona? In contrast to Oscar's mocking tone, the housekeeper dips her head respectfully as you approach. I had the chance to see her from afar during the ball last summer, when your engagement was first announced, my lord. We shall do everything in our power to make your stay as pleasant as possible, my lady. I have no doubt. Thank you. You're not sure whether your words are even heard. Oscar is too busy laughing at himself. Damona, what a sharp memory you have. When I found her in the middle of the forest, I couldn't even remember her name, so I spent the entire ride calling her darling.
Huh? What kind of joke is that? That's your fiancé.
You hesitate. The eyes and ears of every servant and every member of the hunting party are turned toward you. Whether to respond and put him in his place becomes a question in itself.
You remembered my butler's name perfectly.
Oscar falters just for a moment, and you wonder if you've gone too far. But then suddenly his laugh echoes off the high stone walls of the manor. You wait, patient and stone-faced, as strange looks pass between those around you. When he finally quiets, Oscar leans in close and lowers his voice to a conspiratorial murmur. The thought that I might be jealous of a beta must be endlessly amusing to you.
I cannot keep Oscar's voice straight. It's fine.
Tristan is so commanding, so unshakably composed that you often forget he is, like the others, just a beta. A cold shiver creeps along your spine, but you don't look back.
You don't back down, and also you do remember his name.
You're the one who confused him with Rudolph. Oscar's eyes glint with something strange, unreadable. His voice is low, quiet as a thread, as he straightens up again. Because there's no difference between the two. You suspect he means more than just their shared rank. But whatever he's implying, now is not the time nor the place to challenge him in front of everyone. A short silence settles between you, broken only by Oscar's sudden command echoing sharply across the hall, his tone unmistakably authoritative this time. Why haven't the kills been taken to the kitchen yet? And why is Edgar still fiddling with my rifles? Am I feeding a village worth of people here for nothing?
Oh. I was like, what's happening? Do we click on this? Oh.
For the first time in a long while, you feel it. His pheromones, faint but unmistakably present, stirring the air like an unseen fog. Your heart lurches before you realize even what's happening. They're not overwhelming, but they're far from ineffective. The entire hall seems to stir at once, spurred into motion, and while the betas around you obey blindly, blissfully unaware of the influence clouding their heads, you and Omega know better. Unfortunately, that doesn't make you immune. No matter how much you reason with yourself, something primal rises inside you, a murmur of submission, of guilt, a trembling impulse to appease the alpha you've displeased. And worse, that alpha happens to be your fiancé. But as an unmated omega of your standing, you're expected to resist all such signals, even his. Fortunately, your training kicks in before instinct can win. You manage to turn away, calm and composed, and face the housekeeper as though nothing had happened. The journey has exhausted me. Could you show me to a room where I can rest? Of course, my lady. I've had a guest room in the west wing prepared for you. The fire has just been lit. If you wish, I can personally escort you there. You offer the stern woman a grateful smile, nodding your agreement. And in that moment, you're certain she knew about the dinner invitation. She must have, and she prepared for your arrival in advance.
But not your fiancé, didn't know?
As you begin ascending the stairs alongside the housekeeper, your fiancé's booming voice rings out behind you, catching up with startling ease. The East Wing room. I want her place in the room in the East Wing. The housekeeper's eyes narrow in visible disapproval at the change, but she doesn't dare object. From your place on the steps, you can see Oscar's expression, but his voice, dripping with mockery, reaches you all the same. I wouldn't want my beloved future spouse deprived of her usual silence.
You know how the West Wing's become indistinguishable from a school dormitory these days. You know, the West Wing, in addition to the main building, is filled with newer, even more comfortable rooms. The East Wing, by contrast, is older. Gosh. Okay. Of course, having lived in one of the oldest manors in the region yourself, this is hardly something you'd complain about. So you can't help but suspect that this sudden change is Oscar's attempt at some subtle punishment. There's no question in your mind that his motives lie somewhere far from genuine concern for your comfort. Regardless, you can neither read his mind nor openly oppose him. So in silence, you follow the housekeeper deeper into the manor. When you arrive at the room where you'll be spending the night, you see the Red Heart's sense of opulence continues unabated here as well. The bed linens, the curtains, the wardrobes, everything in the room has been chosen with an unmistakable sense of care and expense. Yet despite this pristine condition, nothing quite manages to conceal how old they truly are. Do you know who this room used to belong to? The housekeeper's expression remains as composed and solemn as ever when she replies, I don't believe so, my lady. In all the time I've served at the manor, I've never seen it assigned to anyone in particular. Only, you glance up at her, attentive to the pause in her speech. I do know that Lord Ozen stayed here for a time before marrying Lady Diana, my lady. Okay, so the dad, married to the mom, Oscar's parents. If the room does not please you, I can inform the Lord of your wish to change it. I'm sure he would not object. It's clear someone from higher up, clearly not Oscar, has instructed her to treat you with the utmost care. Still, for a single night, there's no need to be overly particular. Maybe perhaps the mom, and maybe she does want them to get along better. But Oscar doesn't seem like he takes anything seriously, besides whatever he wants to do. No, the room is lovely. Thank you. I'll send someone at the house at once to see to your needs, my lady. In the meantime, please make yourself comfortable. Once you're alone, the warm flickering glow of the fireplace fills the room with a soft crimson light as you continue examining the furnishings. But nothing in particular stands out. I like flowers on the vanity here. Perhaps this room once belonged to a previous master of Red Heart, lavishly furnished and then quietly forgotten by the new ones. Oscar's father might have chosen to stay in it, just out of convenience. In any case, you're deeply grateful to be spending the night here rather than in the cold and shadowed woods outside. But before long, the maid sent by the housekeeper arrives and assists you with your bath without requiring you to step out of your room. And then we're in bed. The warmth of the water loosens your muscles, leaving your whole body draped in a sweet lethargy. But before long, you stop finding the unfamiliarity of the room strange at all. By the time a gentle knock on the door stirs you back to awareness, you've almost forgotten where you were. You sit up straight in your armchair and bid the maid to enter. The music is so dramatic. You are expected in the dining room for dinner, my lady. Your gaze drifts back to the clock above the fireplace, confirming your sense that the hour is unusually late. Isn't it a bit late for dinner? Here at Red Heart, dinner is always served at this time, my lady. Oh, and we're gonna have to save here if there's any more of this. Sometimes the meals last until midnight. What you hear both confuses you and rekindles your unease. Is that so? Meals I've attended usually started and ended earlier. But recalling that your last visit to Red Heart was before the first snow had fallen makes you question the reliability of your own memories. Oh, never mind. I don't think I could eat anything at this hour. I'm afraid I'll have to miss dinner. In truth, your decision less to do with your appetite and more with the desire to avoid encountering Oscar and his pheromones again tonight. Whether intentional or not, you know that spending time around an alpha carries risk for someone like you, especially when that alpha is arrogant, careless, and insufferably self-assured as Oscar. The maid respectfully nods and leaves the room, only to return a short while with a small serving cart. Then she quietly withdraws once more. Okay, thank you. You find an assortment of delicate sandwiches, buttery, savory scones, thinly sliced cold meats,
dried fruits, and a steaming bowl of soup waiting for you. You had only intended to nibble a little, but by the time you realize it, you've eaten nearly everything, finally understanding how hungry you had truly been. Not once during the journey had it even crossed your mind to reach for anything from the food basket, so consumed you were by stress. Now full and warm, you feel like you could finally give in to the day's exhaustion and sleep through the night. Okay, sleep well. But it doesn't take long for you to realize you were wrong. Despite how much time has passed since you slipped into bed, you still find yourself staring at the arms of the chandelier on the ceiling. If this keeps up, sleeplessness may soon become a permanent affliction. Still, rather than dwell on that, you try to focus on solutions, at least for now. At last, you remember the books you left in the carriage, especially the one on necromancy, which you've been meaning to read for quite some time now. It seems unlikely that you'll find a better opportunity than this. Hoping the maid assigned to you is still awake, you reach for the bell beside your bed and give it a ring. Fortunately, she arrives just moments later. Though the hour is undeniably late, she responds with such calm composure that you find yourself wondering about the rhythms of Redheart's nightly routine, though of course you wouldn't dare ask her out loud. Has there been any news of Rudolph? I mean, the unconscious man I brought with me. I was told the maid is still with him, my lady, but there has been no updates yet as he's still examining him. Although Rudolph's lingering state of unconsciousness stirs a knot of unease in your stomach, there's little you can do besides wait for the doctor's report. Thank you. Before you go, could you please have my books brought in from the carriage? Of course, my lady. Once again, you are alone. Your gaze drifts toward the window. You haven't touched the heavy curtains since you arrived, but the distant howling of wolves, carried faintly through the thick stone walls, draws you closer. Unlike your own manor, Redheart sits atop a hill, set apart from the edge of the woods. You are quietly grateful that the wild cries don't reach here with the same intensity. It's pretty. You part the curtains, hoping Tristan has already arranged a deal with the hunters to address the problem. But the wolves vanish from your thoughts the moment you see what lies beyond the glass. The lake. Directly in front of you. Still and silent. The moonlight drapes across its surface, turning the water into a sheet of silver. So beautiful and serene, especially compared to the dark forest surrounding it, that if only for a moment you could forget that this swallowed your family whole and left you behind to bear the silence. But you can't forget. You never will. You were never even allowed to say a proper goodbye, never permitted to see the frozen bodies of your mother and father dragged up from its depths. All you had were their remaining belongings and the memory of your mother's missing wedding ring. It must have slipped from her fingers as she clung to your father, to life. That ring, the magnificent one she never took off. Could it still lie at the bottom of that gleaming lake, hidden in the cold dark? Or had the whispering, guttural voice you heard after the burial been telling the truth? The thought poisons your mind and leaves you dizzy. You try to remember what the doctor told you, repeating it to yourself like a mantra. I mustn't think about it. I mustn't think about it. I should think of something else. For instance, what does that painting mean? Just then you hear a knock at your door. You pull the curtain shut with one last effort, blocking the moonlight entirely before calling out. Still, the realization doesn't leave you. Oscar chose this room for you. This room with its view of that lake. Whether by thoughtlessness or cruelty, he's proven yet again just how little he truly considers your feelings. When the maid steps into the room, she seems unaware of the storm in your chest, but the strange concern on her face, the slight worry in her raised eyes, tells you something is amiss. My lady, I'm afraid there's been a mistake. They've already taken your books to the library. You continue staring at her, not quite understanding what's so concerning about that. Thankfully, she doesn't leave you in suspense. I'm not allowed to retrieve your books from there, my lady. No one except the housekeeper is permitted to enter the library, and the housekeeper is currently with Lady Diana. I'm not authorized to disturb her in that condition. Please forgive my incompetence. You still don't believe the situation warrants the kind of dread that's making the poor girl squirm in front of you. You never thought you'd miss your own maid, Daisy's complete lack of such delicate concerns. In that case, I'll go and fetch the books from the library myself. The startled look that flashes in the maid's eyes gives you pause. Am I forbidden from entering the library? The word forbidden sends another wave of panic across her face, making it clear Redheart holds such restrictions in very high regard. You can't help but think how much Tristan would enjoy that. No, my lady. I wasn't told anything like that. I don't believe there's any restriction applied to you. Good. Then the matter is settled. You may rest. I don't think I'll be needing anything else tonight.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to cut this because it's already been almost 2 hours. You reach for your robe, preparing to step outside, when the maid who's been watching you silently suddenly speaks up.
If you like, I can escort you to the library. I'd appreciate that. After all, you wouldn't even know where to begin looking for the entrance to the library in your fiancé's manor, which you've only visited a few times.
Okay, I'm gonna have to leave it here because I do not have any more time. Oh, and this has been good. The suspense is kind of killing me, but I'll kind of wrap this up in a part two, hopefully. I don't know. I have a lot more questions, but I'm glad we made it to Redheart Manor. I do miss Tristan, so I don't like Oscar at all, but that's not a surprise. If you're watching and you've made it to this part of the video, thank you. Please press the like button if you like the video. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are so far because there's a lot of mystery going on. I do wonder what time it is in the manor, or the time of day rather. Anyways, my voice is kind of giving out, so that's why I have to stop. But thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe to my channel should you want to see more of the winter wedding. And I will see you next time. Bye!